The past is written, but the future is left for us to write. The great quote from the Star Trek holds the concept of all my talk, what I'm going to talk here. This is something which we are looking into futuristic, and what better than Star Trek guiding my path for my talk. Today, in my talk, is on the artificial intelligence in movement disorders. Myself, Dr. Prashant Elke, Parkinson disease and movement disorder specialist in Bangalore, India. I put a date here for February 2025 to talk about this so that I know how redundant this talk may look down the time. When I wanted to talk why this would be redundant, I thought a lot because the pace at which the artificial intelligence and the evolution is changing is dramatic enough which anyone could even believe. I take this small quote. I don't know how many of you have heard about the Nala Damayanti story. Nala Damayanti is a short sub-story in the Mahabharata, where in the Vana Parva, there's a story about Nala and Damayanti, how the Nala is get lost his kingdom and need to regain his kingdom back. In one of the scenes, Nala is a very good horse rider and charioteer who is taking King Rituparna to the Swayamvaram of his wife. And at this point of time, the speed of the chariot, at the speed at which he is riding, he's talking about that. When the chariot is going, Rituparna, the king who is riding in the chariot, his one of his garments falls back, and noticing his garment has fallen down, he asks his charioteer, that is Bahuka, the Nala who is in the disguise as Bahuka, asks him to stop the chariot so that I can pick up his fallen garment. At this point of time, Bahuka tells that in this just 1 second or one Muhurta, we have already covered half a yojana. That's a considerable distance. It will no longer be possible to recover that garment without turning back. And doing so would cause a great delay. And this is the pace at which the AI is evolving in our lives at this point of time. The thing what we talk now is already becoming a thing of the past. So many things have changed in this time by the time my slides have been prepared and I'm giving my talk down here, and so many things will be there by the time you start hearing this talk. Hence, my appropriate disclaimers for this talk. As I told, my talk is on artificial intelligence for movement disorders. Hence, nothing short of that, my talk should be generated by AI from conceptualizations or implementation. So please accept that. Human intervention has been done to get more personalized perspective and managing the PowerPoint flow. Probably Copilot would have done it, but to give my personal taste, I have kept it down there. And remember that this talk is from perspective of accepting that AI is here and is part of our current and future work. Yes, there may be bad things, there may be limitations, there is other side of the story. I'm not going to delve into detail about that because it's impossible to cover up everything down here. The whole goal of this talk is to give a sneak peek into how AI has become omnipresent and tools available at various phases of learning and care. So it gives a sneak peek, hence not an extensive, neither it tells which are the best ones. These things keeps on evolving over a period of time. So this is the disclaimers what you should remember when you're listening a concept of this talk. So when we talk about AI in movement disorders or AI in medicine in general, as doctors, we look from a two perspectives, from student's life when we are learning, and in a professional life, what we want to achieve. From a student's life, we want to learn better. We want to prepare our presentations at various phases. It can be journal clubs, the seminars. We need to have a quick reckoner type of access to the data, our publications, our dissertations, how to prepare them, how to go through them. That is where we are looking into it. At a professional life, we are looking how to improve our clinical care, how clinical decisions can be done better, how our patients can be taken care of better, how we can guide our students in a better way, how to get quick updates of what has been evolving in our field, and if we are into research, how to do a better research and efficient research and make sure that we are able to publish them appropriately in a timely manner. This is in a general perspective. There's so many other facets to be remembered, but to look how we look into this. So in this talk, I'll start with what is artificial intelligence. Then we'll go into further into when does AI start affecting our medical care, role of AI in specifically in movement disorder. Albeit I have written is a movement disorders, it can be applied to any phase of the medical care. What are the some minimal limitations? I'm going to talk about that, and what's in future for movement disorders practice. So what is artificial intelligence? I'll try to highlight that my whole talk has been influenced by Star Trek, and you keep on getting quotes or famous quotes from the Star Trek at different slides for you to keep you enlightened about how things are important for us. When you talk about artificial intelligence, many times it's a question of we are awed how magical it is, how nice the things have changed in last few years, how we search, how it is. And sometimes we are awed by the science behind it. Is it magic? Is it science? Is it witchcraft? Or is it something God given? Whatever it is. So, what it is going on? What is this concept? Every person has a different perspective on how they look into the AI. So, in simplistic, broader perspectives, whenever we learn, our learning is based upon different conceptualization. One is supervised learning, which happens in schools, in our textbooks, and is unsupervised learning, which we learn by ourselves without not knowing. Supervised learning, where we have clear classifications are there, we have tables are there, we analyze based upon that, and then we are trained based upon that. And the same thing applies for the machines, where machines are taught about what are the different types of there, giving them a clear guided directions for their learning and making that as a supervised learning. Or it could be just pouring in a data which neither we know or neither the machine knows what it is, and then it starts analyzing it and trying to make it into a group of understanding, which is called as clustered learning or dimensional reduction. This supervised learning and unsupervised learning together forms our concept for machine learning, where all this machine learns from all these data and uses different statistical techniques by decision makings, and these decisions adapts and improves with more and more data comes out. And this machine learning is a part of holistic concept of artificial intelligence, where the whole concept of artificial intelligence is something to perform similar to human intelligence, where there is a rule based with explicit learning also can happen, where there are specific goals to achieve, or learning based, whatever the machine learns and keeps on improving upon that. So this is where whole of artificial intelligence is that. And above all, there should be some general intelligence or what you call it as common sense, whichever way you want to look into it. So whole of this conceptualization of learning is put under the concept of artificial intelligence. So when does AI start affecting our medical care? Many times we ask a question, is it affecting us? Or in that case, when does it start affecting? So AI in medical care can affect at clinical training, clinical care, research and academics, and providing patient care information. I'm not going to dwell into details about each one of them, as my talk is more from a movement disorders perspective. I'm going to look into it and trying to explain that what we are going to accept here when we think or talk about AI in movement disorders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through a journey from a student phase to all the way up to the industrial phase, from medical school to residency bar fellowships, clinical care, research bar academia, and industry level involvement, how AI is involved in each of these phases, what type of options are available at this point of time, and how they can be utilized for our betterment or improvement of our skills and training. When we talk about medical school or our neurology residency or our doing fellowships for movement disorders, we want to learn better. We want to know what to learn, from where to learn. Previously, we used to go to libraries. Down the time, the libraries have gone. Everything has come down to the web-based system learning. And we also want a butler who can answer all the Kipling's questions for us without the fear of asking a silly questions. Many times we have gone through that phase. Should I ask this question? Will it be appropriate or will it be silly enough? Many of this fear makes us not to ask those questions. So you should have some butler who can ask that without any concern of the situation. And how to visualize something when they talk to us, when something is told to us, a dorsal to ventral, axial to sagittal, or looking into a dorsoventral region. What do you mean by that? There should be, some people are good in understanding language based, some people want to have a 3D visualization. How to able to visualize both in language based and the 3D modulations. And when you learn something, what to learn next, what is the next direction, how to get the right directions, and how to prepare for our presentations, our dissertations, our journal clubs, and we should be able to have more time to save and to think freely. Yes, we have gone down from the time where our professors who used to take painstaking concept of taking the newspaper papers from the articles, copying it, typing it through. If anything goes wrong, tearing a whole the papers and retype all the things to the PowerPoint sections, and to now about asking everything to go to the web system. Things have changed. With things changing, time can be used better to think freely. Always do remember, change is the essential process of all existence, as Spock has properly put it, and we should accept this going forward. So when we look into our training program, first and foremost is we look is interactive learning platform, something which can teach us. Recently, I was looking into one of the forwards which had been coming around in various social media, how teaching had changed. I could see a teaching which was happening in one of the premier institutes in India. I think it was at the Indian Institute of Technologies, where one of the professor is teaching and someone has recorded from the back, where all the students are now seeing on the tabs and sitting there. And you can see on all the tabs, everyone is hearing a different what you call it as teaching modules, what they are learning. So the best of the institute, the best of the professors are teaching there in the class. The students sitting there, not only hearing down there, they are also at the same time, they are either listening to that or getting feedback from that. So learning has to become more proactive, more interactive. That is what is happening now. And to answer this, there are a lot of adaptive e-learning systems. Adaptive e-learning systems are AI-based platforms which helps people to learn based upon their skill sets, help to make them more comfortable in their learning. Whatever their weakness is there, keeps on uh, uh, making it more stressed out and make reaffirmation of the learning process happens down there. There are different so many programs are there, and put a sum of these programs, which can be the Lecturio series, the Osmosis series from the Alzheimer, Draw It to Know It type of a web series, Ken Hub, and definitely the YouTube. You know that all these series give an option. What you keep on learning, they keep on feeding it to you. Some of them are systematic. When you learn something, it will go to the next level. If you don't learn sufficiently enough, it makes sure that you get the concepts better by asking you to go through different lectures of the similarly led series. So it helps to improvise our knowledge, understanding, and makes our concepts much better. So adaptive e-learning systems are required for every person based upon their own skill sets. Then, not only about learning, we need to have virtual patient stimulations. Uh, we see many of us learning for, especially in medical practice, is by seeing patients. Yes, seeing patients is good. We have to learn through that. That is the most important thing for us. But sometimes before touching a patient, it's better we understand how we should have managed properly or how we should interact with the patient. This is where a lot of importance is being a lot of exams like the OSCE systems and other things, where a lot of aspects of strength is given about how you interact with a patient, not a diagnosis, not a finding. How you interact is also most important. So in this concept, there are different aspects have been coming up. Some of them include the body interact or the shadow health symptom of the Alzheimer. This is a nice concepts what you can see down there. What they do in these things, uh, they give modules of patients, people, where you are made to interact with them to see how you talk to the patient, how you interact with them, how you make them to sit, how you examine, why the examination method is right, how you should have examined them. All these things are trained by having a virtual based access to the patient. So when you go to the patient, you are much more prepared than just reading textbooks and then going and seeing the patients. Nowadays, these are becoming more and more efficient, and many of the universities have coming up with their own modules, like the University of California's SF's Neuro Tutor program, which goes through all the neurological examination process, including how to examine a patient with movement disorders, what type of examination after, what does it test. So it gives a lot of in-person experiences for these things. In addition to this adaptive e-learning systems and virtual system patient stimulation programs, what we require is augmented realities and virtual training. Yes, you have been able to read better, you have been able to understand them better. Sometimes with the technologies, whether your care can improve better. Yes, there are concepts which are come now with the availability of the AR and VR tools like the Google glasses. When you wear and walk around, you're seeing the patient, you can see whether the posture is right, whether they have a dystonic head tilt, whether tremors are high frequency tremors, low frequency tremors, or walking, is there a foot drop, is there. So these can be easily picked up and they help you to feedback to pick up the patterns when you start seeing the patients. And sometimes gamified modules like VR based games where trainee exams virtual patients with various movement disorders, learning to differentiate PD from essential tremors or dystonia with the help of an AI coach. This can be done, and this prepares person in a much better way by the time they start seeing the real patient when they come into their clinical care level. Then, yes, people have to prepare for their exams, whatever is said and done in medical schools and residencies. And you need to have better intelligent question banks, which have to address the people's ability to understand what they learn, what they are learning, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, and making sure knocking on their doors every day to remind them what they are missed out or what they how the various other softwares are doing. It's as simple as Duolingo, which keeps on pestering for people to keep on learning. It's a reward-based system, what it works on. Hence, there are different concepts which are available for this intelligent question box. Some of these examples are like Ambos, UWorld are there, and there are so many other intelligent question banks are there which answers these questions. Now, coming beyond the medical school and residency fellowship program, you want to come into the clinical care. When you talk about clinical care, when you have finished your medical school or your residency program, this is where the concept comes. You want to have a process which eases the process of consultation, which reduces your paperwork. You don't want to spend too much of time in writing what you are seeing. Ease and improve because many of the times now whatever you are seeing has to be documented not only for the patient records, it's for insurances and for billing purposes it is required. And sometimes we need to have instant feedback. Can we give a better feedback on personalized care and how to get improve the patient care? Overall, by easing all these things, can AI allow us to get more compassionate back to the practice than just sitting and typing into our computers? Can it be done? Probably. That's what we are looking into it. That's where the advantage is there. Compassion, that's one thing that no machine ever had. Yes, it can be there down the time. Maybe it's one thing that keeps men or human race ahead of them. That's what you should remember as such. So, how this can be done? I'm going to show this a new concept called as ambient listening. So when it would be so great for us when a patient comes to your clinic, you sit with them, you talk to them, asking their names, what problems they have, what is going on, what type of symptoms they had, how it evolved, and when you examine in what is going on, what type of findings you have found, and then you sit and discuss about what type of diagnosis you are considering, why you are considering this diagnosis, and what is your treatment plan or what investigations you want to do. This concept, if when you're just talking something which is listening, which is called as ambient sound, ambient experience, where some AI module is sitting down there listening your conversation and the patient conversation and taking those crisp notes, understanding the meaning of your conversation, making a proper clinical note, a professional appearing clinical note, and by the time you finish your discussion, if you have a clinical note, it dramatically saves your time. And this is where a lot of what you call it as ambient noise or ambient sound based technologies are coming up, and they have already come where this can be easily implemented. And this is where I see a dramatic change will happen. So your time on typing, writing is reduced down, and you can try to manage the patient evaluation process. Yes, in addition to this patient evaluation process, there are softwares which are coming up where based upon patients talking, for especially for Parkinson disease, the Parkinson Voice Initiative, which based upon people talking, try to recognize or make a diagnosis of the patient by the time they come to you. You know something, you are having better understanding about that. So hence, for a patient evaluation processes, there are so many things which are happening down here. Then we are looking for clinical decision support system because many times patient comes, patient tell us we need to make sometimes decisions. What is right? What is wrong? Did we miss out on something? And so many sensor-based technologies, wearable technologies are coming up, and web-based AI systems are available, which helps us to narrow our diagnosis, making the right investigative path and therapeutic path for them. So these can be as simple as the Parkinson's and kinetograph, that the PKG watch, which gives us the details of patients on and off phenomena, or the kinesia 360, which continuously or passively monitors our movements based upon how we are doing it, or the newer technologies which are coming up down the time about the closed loop system or adaptive DBSs, which are picking up the waves and telling us what type of abnormal waves are there when patient is having different type of a clinical decision, and helps you to make decisions about what could have been done or how to manage those situations. And these data are many times are not dependent on patient. The data per se is telling us what the patient means, and it helps us to make clinical decisions for management. Yes, telehealth, remote monitoring, telehealth systems are required, which are going on to that. And many times, whether you acknowledge or don't acknowledge, AI is there in all concepts, especially in administrative works. And I do remember in India, also now most of the corporate hospitals requires codings to be put by the doctors when they see the patient so that the billing happens properly. Many times errors, many times time is lost at the billing section when they go for those things. The same applies in Western countries. Now AIs have been come up where when you write the physician note, when you spoke to the patient, the nuance, the ambient technologies recorded your voice, that they recorded your discussion. Based upon those keywords, they picked up the billing codes. And by the time those billing codes are ready and coming down to you, just need to, yes, to accept those things to address that all the billings are done properly now. So these are already done in many of the systems which are coming up to reduce the, or to stop, to reduce the issues at the administrative billing systems. Not only this, the insurances companies are also taking up these things in a broader and much more bigger way, because they are the one who pay a lot of money, and they have to make sure how they can reduce their pilferages or how they can decide which person or which type of issues requires more coverages or less coverages. So AI is full swing, especially on the back end of our medical care. It may be administrative work, it may be insurances and decision making abilities which government takes at different levels. So you do remember that they are already down there and working up as such. Then coming after this level of clinical where patient evaluation we spoke about, clinical decision supports, how the AI is involving down here, remote monitoring system and administrative works, what is happening down. Then the critical aspect what we look into is how AI can help us in our research and academia. When we think about research and academia, we have to have many times when you're in early in our career, we require some planning for our research methodologies, help in statistical methods, or sometimes to understand what those statistics means to us and to improve the writing skills. Yes, this writing skills is forever evolving phase. It varies based upon region to region, and many times you hit a roadblocks because of these concepts. And we all have gone through telling that yes, the English language has to be improved. English language has to be improved is a very vaguest of the sentences we know. It just does not carry. You read it, you feel that it's good, and it varies from person to person. So we want to jump over those things and we need to spend more thinking, understanding so that we can have processing and whatever we write it, which can be help us. Let us say we want to write it to X journal or a X site. The publication process can be more standardized. You just need to give your thought processes so that all our great minds can time to get think more and what you call it as the regular uh, run of the mill type of a jobs, whether that can be made more easier for us to manage. Can AI help us in that? Yes, it can. Think of AI as your productivity partner. That's what I like to tell. Once you start using it for small tasks, you'll see other ways it can be useful too. It's about giving you time back so you can focus on what really matters. So how it can do? What we have, sometimes we are collecting data after data and so much of big data are being collected. It can be our large scale databases like the Parkinson's progression markers initiatives or the global Parkinson's genetic programs where such a large amounts of data is going to be collected. It's not easy to analyze, interpret and get a meaning by your simple statistical analysis or just going through the data by yourself. It need to have big large module analysis, and this is where AI is going to come up, and hence multimodality machine learning helps in prediction of Parkinson's disease. I don't know how much you have learned about the this year's Nobel Chemistry Prize has gone for this one of these big data analysis process. That is what I'm going to talk about this in a later part in the industry level. But please do remember there are various aspects for big data analysis, both at large scale databases and natural language processing. In addition, we want automated data labeling analysis. So much of, especially in movement disorders, we keep on doing videos. We require to have videos and sensor-based data which are being collected day in, day out, which can be converted into meaningful interpretable task without much of our involvement. This is one of the examples which we are doing in India at Institute of Neurosciences, where you can see just nor you use a standardized gait labs to measure how the walking is happening is a different way. We would have a full setup to be done. In some of this concept, it would be nice where you capture the video with your phone and automatically you have a software on your phone which analyzes that and gives you data out of that. Yes, there are different conceptualization video annotations now are there everywhere in our life, which can be see you see hundreds of cameras outside on the roads. You know that they are capturing every car, number plate, who is coming in, who is going out. You go to the airport, you show your face. So all these annotations are already done, which are running in our daily life. And some of those annotation systems has to be applied down to reduce our amount of time spent in thinking about what is happening than to getting the data of what has happened and interpreting in the right way. This is where our variable sensor data is going to help us out. So there are nice articles about wearable sensors, different types of sensors which are available, such as force, inertial based, EMG, EEG based, and then how this can be converted into physical features, statistical features, and based upon that, how that can be helped in decision making or application in diagnosis. Then, coming from automated data labeling analysis, we need to collaborate. And for collaboration, we require open science. The point is, it's impossible to have all resources either intellectually, or it can be hardware based, or it can be resource based at one point. The current world is based upon collaborations. Collaborations is very critical to make it. And now we have gone away from unit based paper publications to center based, departmental based paper publications to center based publications to now to multi centric national wide databases. And from there, we are going now to international based collaborations, which gets reflected in our various works what we are doing. For example, our genetics of young onset Parkinson disease, GOPI YOPD, or the PAIR PSP project, or the GWASC on GAP India Parkinson disease project, which is all multi-centric project, not only of national importance and of are also of international collaborations. Which are done through under various banners, including the Parkinson's Research Alliance of India, PRI, which is called as, where a lot of data is being churned out. And this churned out data has to be protected. And hence, there are different concepts which are coming up. One of the concepts is like the homomorphic encryption. Homomorphic encryption is where the data owner is the only person will be able to understand the result. You get a data, you get it with encoded with a homomorphic encryption, send it to analyzer. Analyzer will not be able to understand what personal data are there. They can only run analysis on those things. And those run analysis will come back to you, and with your own key, you can only decrypt it and see it and then understand what is happening now. So there are different concepts of encryptions and decryptions are coming up, analysis are coming up, where people are looking how data across the globe without infringing about possibly what you call it as the local regulations, protecting each person's identities, how it can be done. So a lot of things are going on, probably will get much better down the time in some more years. So this is where the collaborations and open science is opening up. And finally, all of us, we want to write, we want to present, how to do it. And this is where what this one single slide probably should give you a bird's eye view of how to do something. It can be from search, where you need to search. Yes, Google search is there. Can you do better search? You have PubMed search. You know the limitations of those things. Yes, now AI-based technologies, AI-based apps which have come up, which are much better, giving you much systematic way of doing it. It can be elicit, the consensus, the size space, which have completely changed the search methodologies and ease of searching for us. And how to know that whether you have collected all the critical articles or anything you have missed out which was shouldn't be missed out, such as mapping these things using lit maps or research rabbit. You get a bird's eye of any other critical things which you have missed out in connection to those articles. Then once you collect these articles, you need to read them, you need to understand them, and you need to have a cross document understanding. When something is told in X article as against something is told in is Y article, what do they mean? Is there a connection between them, or there is no connection? Is there a methodology issues? And this is where reading papers, the multi-doc chats using the notebook LLM, Unriddle, and even the Google chat or the chat GPT does help you out all these things. And you sit, you record it. Off late, the notebook LM is so good. You take an article, put it down, it creates its own podcast out of that. Within few minutes, you put it onto your ears, listen to that, and go on to that. Dramatic it is. The things what I can't even recollect how these things I would have thought about a couple of years back. Then finally, writing. How to write it professionally for a medical literature. There are different softwares which are available, such as Jenny, Thesis AI, Samwell AI, to and yes, analysis, ChatGPT's advanced data analysis, Julius AI, and whether you are doing any plagiarism. The whole process of doing all those things, is there doing infringing about any copyright infringement is happening down. You need to understand those. So you can do by yourself these things to check out anything is happening, where you can correct it, where you can make your presentation. So different systems which are available now. Now, life has changed so much. You can use AI to find seed papers, explore the citations, get those citations in a proper collection, curate those things, create, understand those documents, and with the help of AI, you can almost write a paper from scratch to finish in a half a day, which was at one point of time a mission impossible task. Yes, it has dramatically changed our life, and you accept or you don't accept, it is there. And if you're smart, you'll take it and go with that and become smarter with time. Now, coming forward from the regular applications to the industrial, we understood what happens at clinical learning, academic learning, and clinical care. Is there a role at industries? Yes. What does the industries look for? How does industrial applications for AI for movement disorders work? Does it help in drug discovery paths? Does it help in diagnostic pathologies? Does it help us in dive into big, large data? Can it improve? Because lot of times we do lot of trials. Many of the trials end up with dead end. We see something at a basic science level. By the time it comes out, we know that it's of no use. Can AI help to improve the hit rates, reduce the timelines for delivery of newer molecules, newer drawouts? Can happen. We don't know how it can happen to him. We need to sit and see what is happens to it. Yes, when you look AI in industry, it has been dramatic. It is affecting every other life. Recently, you can see many Nobel Prizes are going for people who are working in the field of AI. So AI has been given. Now people don't know where to put AI. You should be put it in a mathematicals department. Is it should be put under science departments like medicine or other things. But it is there everywhere. This year's Nobel Prize winners in chemistry, that is 2024 Nobel Prize winners in chemistry, Baker, Jumper, Hassabis. I don't know you have heard about these names of people or not. Their work has been on AlphaFold or the DeepMind from the Google, where they were able to understand how each protein gets folded onto itself. Every protein which is formed, which has to have a different folding structure, and that decides the efficacy and outcome of that. When the concept of this started, people were working on that. And there are competitions to understand how nicely a model can predict the protein foldability. The initial 20 to 30 years, by painstakingly, they had found structures of about 150,000 proteins, and still they were not able to have a better system. In last 2 years, the AlphaFold has dramatically changed. In that gap, we have almost like another 200,000 proteins have been I think 200,000 or 2 million proteins have been already been structure have been done just using this methodology, using the AI based methodologies. It now we have every known protein to us. We know what is its structure, how it happens, how we can predict those structures, and where those structures can be remodulated. And you have this AlphaFold which you can access through the web, and you can decide if you have any mutations which you see it, you can see those mutation based what structural changes can happen, and based upon that how it can impact the outcome of that. So understanding these things are critical for us. And this helps us. So to understand that AI is good enough to every industrial, and this understanding of proteins will completely change at the speed at which newer molecules can be processed, neurotherapeutics can be processed, and making decisions for us. Further, all this process of new learning definitely will help us in new breakthroughs, either in the form of in genetic studies for variant calling, genomic screening, bioinformatics plan, or integrations and prediction models. We can also use this AI-based guidelines for personalized medicine. You see, every Parkinson disease is not a single gene or a single type of system. There are different types, phenotypes are there, motor types, non-motor symptoms, and response to medications are different. When you have this large databases, personalized medicines, where AI can tell a person with these type of symptoms or this type of blood factors has to be tried with these medications, or this will have the better efficacy for him with a less side effects. That's what is going to happen. And then we already have AIs in different industry levels, like the AI doc, which is a radiological tool or radiological system, where many times when you do the scans, radiologists may not be available. We need to have a system to understand which scans have to be flagged up to faster reporting or to flagged up to the doctors for quick analysis. The AI Doc is a AI-powered radiology tool that scans medical images for critical conditions. Like for example, we don't want to have details, fine skill answers. We need to know whether there is intracranial hemorrhage, pulmonary embolism, and prioritize them for analysis and escalate the signal pathway for treatment. Then we have the Path AI. Path AI, it specializes in pathology imaging analysis. It assists pathologists in identifying cancerous cells with higher accuracies. So, to painstakingly going through each slide by slide, field by field is the most difficult part. We know, and that is where we are dependent upon some centers have very highly skilled human resources. These type of AI technologies will help to have access for better care, faster return on our diagnosis. Then we have a system called as Benevolent AI. This is an AI platform to mine biomedical literature and drug databases, aiming to speed drug discovery pipelines. Like you find something abnormal, we need to be able to find what drugs are available, what molecules are available, how to pick up those things, and something is that is where this helps you out. Then you have AtomWise. AtomWise is an AI for structure-based drug design. So it screens billions of molecular compounds virtually to find your potential hits. So all these things, each one of them work in a different ways to improve our speed of decision making, decide what has to be picked up, what is the best thing to have a better result for us. It was a time when the government software was being provided as a service. SaaS is a well-known technology now which is globally, which is there everywhere. SaaS, everyone knows about SaaS, where software is provided as a service. We are not far away from a concept where now we'll have a system where software as medical but virtual assisted device, that is Samvad. Yeah, even though Samvad is not an official terminology, probably a toilet as coined by me at this point of time. I was just thinking about what could be it. It could be, we are not too far away when we tell that Samvad for medical sciences, where we talk about software as a medical or virtual assisted devices for decision making, for treating for all our uh, disorders to government. And yes, government has to tax for those things. They will be part of that. Now it will be Samvad for Samvad at one point of time. With all these things, what I would like to tell is that it's time to boldly go forward. As Star Trek, I would like to tell that we are not too far away. If you know this person, Gene Roddenberry, as he told, the human adventure has just begun. The screenwriter, producer of Star Trek. Yes, the human adventure for AI has just begun. AI is here. You agree or you don't agree is left to you. It's going to change how we practice care bar research. A time was there when we used to tell that people will read Google and come. We used to worry what they are going to read and come. We are now accepted and we go with that. It is time to improvise, adapt, and overcome. That is what is required for us. Yes, there are some small issues are there that has to be ironed out over a period of time. Those issues you can ask questions, but as this great meme goes, why are you biased and wrong so often when you ask it? Because what we built and what we trained it, what questions you ask, what data you put it, you get the results out of that. It's getting what you put in, what you get out. So remember that it's time that we need to accept AI, and as we put forward, logic is the beginning of wisdom, not the end. Please remember that as Spock has told it. To end, I can only tell that live long and prosper and use time efficiently with the help of AI. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And any questions are there, I'll welcome to address them. If any questions, please. Thank you.